talking about is membership attraction. So let's go on to the next question: retention versus attraction. I mean, which is more important? Should we be attracting new members? Should we be concentrating on retaining our own? Should we be doing both? Why? How do we do this?
I think
Paul.
Well, I think it depends on the club. Like we've discussed in our club, we want quality members, not so much as, quantity. It's nice to have new members, but we want quality new members. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? So really what you're saying is that if we can concentrate on quality, that our club will have a personality that will encourage quality. Is that
Right.
really
Exactly.
what yeah. Okay. So does everybody agree that retention is more important than attraction?
Yes.
Okay. So at what point, I mean, we're a fairly new club. Are we now ready to really expand and to attract new members? Do you feel that if you bear our club in mind, since it's a new club, we are bringing in some new members? I'm delighted to see them here today, which is really great. Paul?
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing is that you don't say to yourself, oh, we need new members. When you're out somewhere and you're talking to someone and they're your friend and you realize they would make a good Rotarian, you invite them to Rotary. I don't think it's a matter of attraction, because you've got a good club already. We've retained good members. Our members are good. And I have other friends that I know would make it another good Rotarian. And that's when you invite someone to Rotary, because they'll be a good Rotarian.
Right.
I don't think you go about saying, oh, we need to attract new members. We don't have enough.
Any other comments on that topic?
Dennis again.
Paul's right. You need to attract new Rotarians, not new members.
That's a good point. Yes.
And Lou.
Yeah, my thought would be if you have a strong club and all your members are engaged and they're pumped up and they're working together, then that in itself will attract people that might be interested in joining.
Right. That's a very good point.
And Jackie.
Yeah, but I see the question as why add new members? And in older clubs, again, Diana indicated that we're a new club. So I think we're trying to iron out a lot of the kinks of a new club. But in older clubs, you find that they get stuck in the old ways and they need fresh ideas and, maybe they need younger members. So, they may direct their attention, why add new members? For some of those reasons. A lot of the clubs are aged in terms of the age of the members, the membership, and they're looking for younger members with a different view on things in which to provide service.
Right. So new members are going to come inevitably with their own ideas, with their new passion, which hopefully encourages the club to embrace their ideas and their suggestions and to strengthen the club in the long run. What about, but if, for instance, supposing you have a club roughly the size of ours and you expand by 50% of your membership over a very short period of time, is that a good idea? If it isn't, how would you handle that? do we have, for instance, in our club, do we consider that we have a good orientation program?
Oh.
Oh,
That's an interesting. I'm sorry. I need to raise my hand.
Emmanuel?
Yeah. We just took in 26 new members at once. We adopted a club that had to return their charter to Chicago because they could not meet anymore. And those 26 members were a huge burden on the secretary for doing all the recording and all the communication with the district and all the communication with RLI, telling them that they were now our club. You also, so that's one thing, but that's done, and I was the secretary and I was able to handle it. But that's one thing to remember. Also, you have to remember you have two types of members that join your club. You're an e-club like I am. You're going to get new members. Have they been Rotarians before or not? And that is also a big factor. I mean, you can have all the counseling and guidance and that you want, but if they've never been a Rotarian, you have a lot more work to do in an e-club, excuse me, than you have to do on a Terra club. A Terra club, you just call or have a coffee and sit down and explain what Rotary is all about and the commitments and the foundation and the this and the that. Whereas when it's an e-club new member, you have to think of the huge amount of work there is for somebody who's going to be the mentor of new members.
Can I interject there, because before Jackie comes back, you mentioned just call and have a coffee. Well, call and have a Zoom. Have a coffee and a Zoom and just do what you're doing here on a new club.
Yeah, yeah.
Jackie?
Yeah.
It is certainly, though, I think Emmanuel's point about whether or not you are bringing in someone who has already had experience of Rotary in a traditional club, as some of our members had, and bringing in someone who has never been a part of Rotary at all. It's a huge learning curve, and I raise that issue of orientation because it seems that it is a concern of many e-clubs, and perhaps it's something that we should look at in a more formal way, exactly how we could best do that for our members. Emmanuel, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I resent the term traditional club because it's not because we're an e-club that we are not traditional. We are an e-club full-fledged. We are a Rotary club full-fledged. So
yes, by the word traditional, what we mean is the
I know what you mean, and that's why we use Terra Club as opposed to e-club.
Okay.
And I'm having a big fight with Rotary International right now because when you look for a club on their website, and you have two type of search. You have to search for a club, and then you have to search for an e-club. And right. I resent that. So we're a club. You are a club. We're a club.
Jackie, do you still want to join in?
I'm glad Emmanuel went first, only because he mentioned the fact that they just brought in 26 members. But they were, what I gathered from what he said, that they were old Rotarians, previously Rotarians. But I thought the first thought that came to mind when Diana asked the question was orientation. And I know we've moved forward to actually inducting our members now. The way we're doing it, we try to do an official induction of the members. But I'm not getting, and maybe we are, but I'm not getting that we do an orientation of the new members.
Exactly.
So that was one of the things. That's what I wanted to say. In addition to that, going back to what Emmanuel said, I think we're unique, and also your question, Diana, about if we wanted to add 20 more members, for instance, immediately, old or new. But I think going back to what Emmanuel said, Emmanuel we're unique in that we meet like this, you know. I don't know how if they do meet or if they just meet with that online meeting that's posted weekly. So if we do that in terms of adding numbers, 20 new members at the same time, I think it'll be difficult for us, only because of the uniqueness of the club.
Yeah, yes, and it may not be the wisest thing for us to do if we choose to do that. Finally, one of the questions on this particular, sorry, does somebody have a comment? Okay. Why don't Rotarians recruit? The statistics tell us that on a worldwide basis, only 5 to 10% of Rotarians invite new members in their Rotary time. I mean, that's a terrible statistic. That means that, you know, somewhere around 90 to 95% of Rotarians never bother to invite somebody into Rotary. Why? I'm not really quite sure. Does anybody have any thoughts on
Emmanuel and then Paul.
When I joined Rotary is because I was asked. And Frank Devlin, Rotary International president 10 years ago, said, to be a Rotarian, you have to be asked. So ask. We cannot join. We have to be asked to join. I joined because I was asked. And that's the only way to become a Rotarian, is to be asked. So who's going to ask if it's not Rotarians? Now, there is a little difference with e-clubs again. We get all those new members. We went really from 60 to 90 in the last 6 months. We never asked anybody. They all came because they liked what they saw on our website. And they said, hey, this is a great part. This is a great way for me to stay a Rotarian. So yes, you have to ask, but why don't Rotarians recruit? I don't think it's a fair question, because they do. Rotarians, they're the only one who can recruit.
Mm-hmm. Paul.
Well, I was thinking, thinking of this question, I was thinking, who are all of my friends, and would they make good Rotarians? And then I thought, but most of my friends already are Rotarians. And that may be the issue.
Yes, and that's a very good point, Paul, because I think so many Rotarians are so, Rotary is such a huge part of their life that you're right. The vast majority of their friends are already associated with Rotaries.
Wayne?
Yes, PDG Diana, I don't know about these statistics because I was invited by a Rotarian, and in our club, now I don't want, Paul said not to say traditional club, so I'll say my former club, almost everybody that joined within the 10 or 12 years I was there was invited by Rotarian. So I don't know just what type of statistics they took to say 5%, because as mentioned, you have to be invited and invited by Rotarian. So most of the members that were coming to visit, potential members, have come through a Rotarian. I took my friends to lunch to the Rotary Club, and then they like it and some they joined. And so do you think this statistics is correct?
Yes, I do. I think you will find often in clubs that you have certain members who will invite a lot of people. They will have sponsored, 10 or 12 or 20 people. You will have others. And the same way that you have members who are not particularly active. So I think the statistic is correct. It may not be correct in our particular geographic area, but so let's move on to the next slide. This is a very simple question, but it's something that I think bears reiterating, that the qualification to be a member of Rotary is that it is open to business, professional, and community leaders. And, you know, there has been a movement, certainly in some parts of the world, where it's, you know, anybody who asks is, oh, that's fine, come along and be a Rotarian. But that is the official qualification for a member of Rotary. So if we bear that in mind, where should we look? How should we find these leaders that we would like to join our club? Paul?
Well, it starts with the people that you deal with in business. And at least that's how I learned it as a kid. I learned that when my father invited someone to Rotary, it was because he dealt with them in business and he found that they had commonality and felt that they sometimes met outside of business. And he said, well, why don't you come to our Rotary Club? And that's how it starts.
Okay. Dennis, did you have your hand up?
Wayne does.
I just wanted to agree with Paul, but it's really where do you look for Rotarians is in your own universe of friends and acquaintances. It would be pretty difficult to do it otherwise, unless you want to use Rotary as or the potential of recruiting a new Rotarian as a reason for meeting someone like that, which we shouldn't eliminate that as a possibility. I mean, that would be your own personal development, and that might be very positive.
Wayne,
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, I guess that's how Paul Harris started it, a group of friends having lunch in Chicago, I don't know, attorneys and professional people. That's how they started, so I guess we follow their example. And it's professional people doing business together, meeting for lunch or meeting somewhere, and like us meeting on Zoom, I guess.
So should we only be looking at our business contacts? Are there other groups of people with whom we're associated that we should look at or could look at?
I think your friends, if you've got quality friends and quality friends who are looking, who basically have this outlook to do good, bring them along to Rotary.
Anywhere else? Dennis, I think.
I'm fairly new to a community in the last year, and I've been looking in my own community. I'm part of a leadership group in my own community now. It's a fairly large community membership, about 200 people. And I've already found 2 other Rotarians who might be interested, but it's going to take a little while to develop that. That's another place that things like that happen.
Oh, Camille. You've got to unmute yourself, Camille.
Okay, I think part of it too, we also need to look at those Rotarians who may have resigned or retired from Rotary because of, well, the challenges they may have. And this will be an opportunity to bring them back in. Maybe they're not able to join a physical club, but the opportunity exists that they still want to be a Rotarian. And that will be an opportunity for us to look at those members who would have left at some point.
Yeah, that's another a very good source, and particularly I think for, as you say, for e-clubs, those who may find it difficult to make physical meetings every week. How many of us, though, have an interest in other organizations that do some kind of charitable work, or you know, I don't know whether any of our members do,
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what I was raising my hand, Diana. Sorry to interrupt, but like the St. Thomas Salvation Army, we were members, the advisory board and the members, maybe over 80% of us all of a sudden, some were not, but at the end became Rotarians. The chairman was a Rotarian, Tom Bolton. He recruited a lot of the other Rotarians to be Salvation Army members. So I was going to mention that. So that's another.
Well, and that raises another point, Wayne. I know we had a speaker at one of our conferences, and he raised the issue of we often tend to invite members who perhaps are very active in the Salvation Army or in various others. We use the Salvation Army as an example, but it could be any one of hundreds. But if that is their major focus, that often they will come to Rotary, but use Rotary as a means to support, now there may not be nothing wrong with that, because maybe it's a two-way street, but do we think that is something that we need to bear in mind?
I'm going to interject here. One of the things is that a Rotarian needs to have time to do the Rotary work. And if you've got a Rotarian who's involved in too many other community groups, that Rotarian does not have time to devote to Rotary. And that, I think, can be a real problem in some cases.
Yeah. Wayne?
Yeah. Yeah, it is true what you said, but in the case of the Salvation Army, actually it was any way to do good and give back to the community. So they actually helped each other. Maybe the Salvation Army had interest that Rotary will support, but vice versa. So it worked out well there. Maybe it's a smaller community, but it worked out. So maybe in a larger community, but here it was to give back, to do something good, and they did help each other.
Exactly.
I thought it worked well.
Yes. So it can be, it can be a great partnership, but it's something that you need to, we need to keep in balance and, and to support our members in their interest, but also make sure that that Rotary is in the picture as well. So really, I think that tends to speak to some degree to the last issue that we have touched on, and that is quality versus quantity. So that really is part of the quality as well, having the time, giving sufficient focus to Rotary, as well as just generally being good members and good team players. So if you look at it from the...
Sorry, Henriette has
I just would like to add.
Mm-hmm.
I just would like to add to what was said about the time. I feel I am overworked, and although I would really love to be more active and more participative in our e-club, my club, my only club, let's say, I just can't follow. And there are times in life, where you have too many pressing issues that makes that you just can't do it. And I'm glad that the subject of that subject was brought up, because I am feeling disconnected, not because of any particular reason, but just because I can't follow suit. And so I feel inadequate. So I can't continue for the moment. I hope that you will bear with me until I can get back into full action. But I'm not quitting. I'm just would like to be left on standby.
I'm glad you raised that, Henriette, because let me throw this question out. Do we expect all of our members to give the same amount of time to Rotary?
Sorry?
I'm asking generally, do we or should we expect all of our members to give the same amount of time to their Rotary Club?
But of course not. I mean, we all have our decision to make, and Rotary is one thing, life is another. I mean, and work and community. I mean, local community. Rotary is a community as well. Nobody is expecting anybody to do as much work as anybody else. You just put in as much as you can, and if you cannot, you cannot. And Harriet, you don't have to feel guilty about not being able to do as much as you wanted to do. Maybe in 2 years from now, you'll be the best Rotarian that you dream of being. So no worries. I mean, anybody can do as much as they can.
Paul, you
Exactly.
Paul?
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm. Because when you consider that we, you know, in our own membership, we have young members who are early or earlier in their career. We have people who are older but still in their career, but maybe they can give a little more time. They don't have young children anymore. And then, you know, you've got the other end of the scale of people for whom Rotary is almost their job because they have retired from whatever it was they did, and they can donate a lot more time. And but it is something. It's a very important point because I think we don't always. Not only do we not always recognize that somebody cannot give time, and is in a particular situation where they find they cannot, and are we not a little guilty both ways? One of saying it's okay to say no, to say I'm sorry, but right now I can't do that. You know, maybe in 6 months' time I'll be able to, but right now I can't. And we need to recognize that, but we also need to impart that information to our other members and to our leaders so that everybody understands the situation, the personal situation that people are in. I think it's important to do that. So if we now turn around and look at this from the perspective of a potential Rotarian, and maybe our very new Rotarians would like to weigh in on this, why would they want to join a Rotary Club, and why would they want to specifically join this club? What is it that makes us more attractive than the club down the road? Because we know we are, right? We know we are.
We have one brand new Rotarian right now here. I wonder if Howard has a comment.
Right, Howard.
Not to put you on the spot, Howard.
Camille has a hand raised.
Oh, Camille, yes.
May I just say part of it for me, because I consider myself still a relatively new Rotarian, because I'm only 4 years into this. But I think for me, it is really flexibility. Because as you can see, I'm still at work, and I joined a traditional Rotary Club, and having left Jamaica, I needed something that would still allow me to be a member, to still allow me to do what I love. However, the times they met here was not conducive. They were not fitting into my schedule. They met at lunchtime on the other side of the island. It was not possible. On a Tuesday evening was not possible. So I thought I was introduced, and at the time it was in the initial stage. It was not even a chartered club, and I was introduced by past Christine. And I said, you know what? That sounds like something I would be interested in, even though it was not a physical club. So for me, a lot of it was more flexibility, and I was still able to do what I love, but allowed me to do it in my own time. And still, I mean, the fellowship that I have here, I certainly have embraced, because I probably have more interaction here than I do in my previous club.
Great. So, Howard, you were going to have a comment?
Yeah, I was going to say something. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. As to the reason for joining the Rotary, I think Wayne, that's how you pronounce his name, Wayne, made mention of the fellowship, of doing things in a community sort of way. Something that you want to do for a community on your own, you can't accomplish that on your own. And joining the Rotary would have given you the opportunity because you have more members, you have a community of persons that you're working with to accomplish that same goal. The other thing is volunteerism is not necessarily a buzzword, and the persons will say that, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I don't know how to. And I think the Rotary Club is one of the big ways that you can make an impact in your community. As to why I joined the E-Club, Camille mentioned it, the flexibility. I was a part of a Rotary meeting, and it was very difficult to attend the meeting because of my own commitments. So when Camille mentioned that there was something called an E-Club, I was very intrigued by it because I hadn't heard of such a thing before. It's not very popular. It wasn't very well advertised. Not even in our own meetings did we hear about E-Clubs. So when she mentioned the E-Club, I thought that would be an ideal way to, one, meet people, as I was doing with Rotary, accomplish something with other persons with the same goal in mind, and they are part of a great organization. So I think I have it there in a nutshell. My reasons, at least.
Thank you. That's great.
Emmanuel?
Emmanuel?
Yes, there is another reason why I find out. I did not join E-Club because of that, but I found it out after that. I realized how much money I was spending in meals. Money for my own stomach and nothing else, because I had to go to those meetings. And my wife is a quilter, and she said, my God, if I could have $2,500 every year to compare with the amount of money that you're eating and drinking at those meetings, I would have the best quilt shop in my life. So I think an E-Club to me is saving a lot of money. I still spend the same amount of money, but it's not going to my stomach. It's going to the foundation and to the Paul Harris and to the local community and other things. So this is to me now a big selling point to many of the people that I meet in Terra clubs that said, yes, but you don't have this, you don't have that. And I said, yes, and I'm saving a lot of money.
That's a wonderful point, Emmanuel. Not only because you're saving money, but that you put it into the perspective of the fact that you're spending the same amount of money, but doing much more good with it. I think that's a really, really strong draw for people. So thank you for putting it that way.
Wayne, you've got your hand up, Wayne?
Yes. Yes. It says why join a Rotary, and then I will talk about why join an E-Club Rotary. If it was not for PDJ Diana telling me about this E-Club, I would not have been now the last 2 years a Rotarian. Even though being in Ethiopia with the network problems, I don't think I'm giving back as much as I want or I'm doing up to the potential I want to give, but still I'm a Rotarian. It's the convenience. I was between 3 continents almost, Europe and the United States, Virgin Islands, Florida and Ethiopia, and they had given up on Rotary. When I came back to St. Thomas, PDJ Diana mentioned about the E-Club, and I was never heard of an E-Club. I was amazed, and thank you, that's why. So why join an E-Club is absolutely fantastic. It's the most convenient. You can join it wherever you are, and it should be, it should be a big advertisement, actually, PR for Rotary International, because people would have been Rotarians and would have never have been Rotarian again. This is like having your cake and eating it too.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Wayne.
Thank you.
Okay, we are getting a little close on time, so I'd like to start to wrap this up, but particularly to to thank you all. I think you've all made a great contribution to this session. To my knowledge, it's the first time that anyone has attempted to actually do an RLI and an open discussion, and to do it online in this format. It's not perfect, but I think it is. It's something that maybe we want to explore a little more. So these really, these three statements just summarize what we've been talking about and how important it is. Membership obviously is the cornerstone, very much the cornerstone of Rotary, because without it there would be no clubs. Without no clubs there would be no organization. So I just wanted to thank you all very much for your contribution. But I'd also like, if you would be interested in taking a few minutes to send an email out to see whether or not you feel that this format is good, whether you have found it interesting, and whether you would like to explore the idea of having any more of these sessions at our meeting. And so now I will open it up to any last comments that anyone would like to make before we finish.
Dennis has his hands raised.
Thank you, Diana. This is as good as I expected it to be. You did a terrific job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will add to that too,
Okay.
Diana. Thank you.
Well, I wasn't really looking for you to tell me that I did a good job. I was actually hoping that
Diana,
we could achieve something with RLI.
Yeah.
I don't think we can graduate from it in this way yet, although we are working on it.
well, I'm a great proponent of doing a lot more on Zoom, because I feel Zoom is just about the best you can get. And without Zoom, this club would not have developed the way it has.
It is true.
Yeah. Great format. Just a great format.
I think Diana's question, I'm raising my hand, by the way, and I wasn't called, so I'm just, yeah.
Anybody watching Jackie? She wants to talk.
Yeah, but I think whether it's Zoom or any other version, a virtual version of how getting this information across, I think is an excellent way of giving others the opportunity to do it. Rather than, I think in our district, we have to be moved from island to island, unless it's on your island. Oh, I thought it was put off. But unless it's on your island, you don't have the opportunity, if you don't have the financial, or maybe, whatever the situation may be in terms of getting to the RLIs. So I think this is a very convenient way of doing it, and ensuring that everybody has the opportunity.
Yeah, certainly in our district, it's more of a challenge because, we have to fly to do it anywhere else. I was talking to Paul earlier, and, he, for instance, would have the opportunity to do an RLI face-to-face with local Rotarians in his area, as would, I think, everyone except possibly Wayne. I'm not sure whether Ethiopia does RLI, but certainly all of our other members live in territories where it would be available, and it would be great to have these kind of discussions with people from other clubs with, totally new ideas. And I also believe that our members could contribute greatly, because it's not too often that you have e-club members taking RLI. So you can also become ambassadors for it. So
Diana, I have some screenshots, and if you want to use the screenshots of those who have attended this RLI session, I'll send them to you.
That would be great. Thank you. Camille, you can have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Dana, you may want to clarify for Emmanuel, because I don't think I mentioned it, that members for the E-Club usually, in our case, have some tie to District 7020. I don't know if you wanted to elaborate with him on that.
In terms of all of our members and their relationship to 7020, is that what you mean?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't think for Kids Club that happens.
Exactly. No, that's a very good point. Emmanuel, we wrote into our bylaws that if in order to become a member of our Rotary E-Club, that members need to be either a native of or a resident of or have previous connection with the geographic area of 7020, or have a strong interest in doing humanitarian projects in the Caribbean area. So although we don't limit our members geographically, you will have heard Ween say that she was previously a member in within our district, and that applies to many of our members. If not, then they certainly have a connection with the Caribbean and want to do work there. So we are slightly different from some other E-clubs in terms of our members. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, we even have a member from next door, Henriette. We call her our next door neighbour. She's actually in the residing in the neighbouring district, but we welcome her because we know her so well, have done for years.
Absolutely.
So thank you all very much. I'm going to leave the meeting. But I would appreciate if you have any comments, whether they're negative or positive. Please let me know. That's the way we move on.
Okay.
So,
Bye.
thank you very much, everyone.
Bye.